Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of The Gentleman. This movie is directed by Guy Ritchie, who previously directed Rock'n'Rolla and Snatch. This movie stars Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, and Hugh Grant, with Henry Golding and Colin Farrell. The Gentleman is the story of Mickey or Michael Pearson, played by Matthew McConaughey, who is a United States expat who has come over to the UK and got into the marijuana dealing and distribution business. But he's trying to get out of that line of work. So the story is told from the perspective of Hugh Grant, who plays Fletcher, a reporter, journalist who is the narrator of the story. He's telling the story to Raymond, played by Charlie Hunnam, how Mickey Pearson wants to get out of this marijuana business, and there are some people that want to stop his exit, while others want to hasten it. So when I heard Guy Ritchie was making another movie, I was a little surprised because he'd come off the heels of Aladdin, and it had been a while since Guy Ritchie did the Guy Ritchie thing, where he makes a movie involving a bunch of characters, storylines, fast-talking British gangster type of stuff. So I was a little hesitant. And I saw the trailer, and I wasn't really impressed by it. So I was like, okay, it has a good cast, so I'll give the movie a shot. And after seeing it, I can honestly say that, yeah, there were funny moments, and the cast is good cast, but the movie left me a little disappointed. My biggest concern going into the film was Matthew McConaughey. He was surrounded by all these English actors. I didn't know if McConaughey was going to fit in this type of role. And once the movie started, it starts off with him, and he's playing Matthew McConaughey. He's calm, cool, and collect, but he's playing his type of character. Granted, he's in a position of power, so he uses a lot of neat, king of the jungle type metaphors when he's speaking to people, but it's Matthew McConaughey. The rest of the cast I was intrigued by. Hugh Grant is almost unrecognizable. He's kind of using this lisp, same kind of way he did this voice in Mickey Blue Eyes, where he pretends to be a gangster. So he's not using the very, posh, very slow-talking, stuttering Hugh Grant voice. He's using more of a, kind of seedy character voice. And Charlie Hunnam is okay in this. I expected a lot more from his character, but he plays a very stoic, a very calm, kind of right-hand guy. He's the guy the boss looks to when he needs, brains or strategy or things taken care of. He's the fixer of this organization. Colin Farrell is the highlight of the film. He plays a character named Coach, who's very... he's not used to this line of work. So when he gets caught up with certain things and has to deal with interrogation or hurting people or whatever, he doesn't want to. But when he does, because he's so uncomfortable in these type of situations, it's very funny. When American Hustle came out, a lot of people said, including myself, that David O. Russell was doing his best version of a Martin Scorsese film. And there, it worked. Because he did a very good job while also bringing his flair to the Martin Scorsese type of directing. And when The Hateful Eight came out, a lot of people said that Hateful Eight was the most Tarantino movie they'd seen. It had a lot of his dialogue and camera shots and, cues and things that make his movies, with that Tarantino type stamp on them. Well, The Gentleman is a perfect example of Guy Ritchie trying to go back to his roots. Yes, he has a lot of fast-talking things and a bunch of multiple storylines and situations where characters think they have the upper hand on one another and then plans fall through and now they're stuck dealing with it and scrambling and they're all going after one thing. That sort of plot. It's almost as if Guy Ritchie is trying to outdo himself. It's almost as if he's trying to go back to the things that made Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Rock'n'Rolla really good, but he doesn't execute it as well as he could have. Yeah, the movie has a great cast. And yes, the movie does, say, oh, you fucking count, quite a bit, but it's almost over the top. A lot of the funny lines are from Colin Farrell. Some are just him trying to recreate Tarantino-like scenes in his movie, including one where Charlie Hunnam goes into a room full of kids who's trying to bring this girl back home. It's very much of a Jules from Inglewood type scene in Pulp Fiction, where he gives the Ezekiel 25:17 speech. It's very much like that. But a lot of the fast talking, slick dialogue is from some punk kids that are trying to be gangsters in the film. Yeah, the movie does, say the F word and does say see you next Tuesday quite a bit, but also there's a lot of homosexual innuendos, almost too much. Yeah, I get it that Guy Ritchie has that type of style, but it's like when he can't think of anything, clever to say, or he's trying to make a bunch of jokes that maybe him and other people think are funny, he has a lot of that dialogue filling the scenery. The movie tried some neat things, including a Mission Impossible type introduction to each of the characters and actors, and also this almost a breaking the fourth wall type thing with Hugh Grant's character as the journalist. Guy Ritchie is actually in this movie himself. But there were too many parts that had me saying, okay, either this didn't need to be in the movie, like the scene where Fletcher and Raymond are watching footage and Fletcher is like, okay, so you're going to play this role and I'm going to play this role while we're lip syncing to these people talk. Just scenes that didn't need to be in the film, or scenes that tried so hard to be like Guy Ritchie of old that it didn't really make the movie that engaging. Yeah, some parts were entertaining and there were a couple parts that had me laughing out loud, but other than that, the movie isn't really entertaining. You're just waiting to see how characters end up, because unlike his other movies, they're not as iconic. They don't pop. There's not a character that has a gimmick like Brad Pitt in Snatch. There's characters that have, funny names and, are in certain situations, but that's it. So because I expected more from the gentleman, especially from Matthew McConaughey, who doesn't really do roles like this, I was left disappointed. So because of that, I'm going to give the gentleman a C. Until next time, guys, see ya.